Hey everyone, welcome to another tutorial. This week's tutorial is a remake of the men's beanie that I had posted a couple of weeks ago because I had several requests from people that wanted me to slow down and to zoom in on the stitching so that they can better see how I'm alternating the posts. So if you still have any questions on this pattern, let me know. I'm happy to help. So let's just get started. So this is one of the beanies I made with this same stitch. It's just a variation in color. You can make this beanie in about a day if you use the same yarn that I use. If you need to make the beanie a lot quicker because you need to get it done for the holidays, I would use a thicker yarn. So I'd use maybe a medium size yarn, so size 4, and that way you can make it a lot quicker. So the yarn that I'm going to be using is this one. It's called Woolike, and it's by Loops and Threads, and you can find it at any Michaels in the US. It is a size 1 fingering yarn. I need 2 skeins. If you're going to make it in one solid color, you'll just need 2 skeins because we will be crocheting them simultaneously. So I'll also be using a G-hook, and that is a 4.25 millimeter. I'm going to be using these colors. So I've got 2 skeins of each. This one's 2 skeins rolled up together. And I'm going to use a blue and this lighter color yarn, and that way I'll double them up and make a thicker yarn. I just like the way that this yarn feels, that's why I use it. So I just have to unwind my skein a little bit. There we go. So you're going to need 2 threads, so that's why you need the 2 skeins, and we're going to make a slip knot. So I'm going to grab my hook, have it ready to go, and we're just going to wrap the yarn around 2 of your fingers, and then just pinch the bottom part where the 2 pieces of yarn connect. Get your hook into the loop, and you're going to grab both threads of yarn. You're going to see that I only grab the one, so it's going to cause some difficulties here. And then I'm going to have to redo my slip knot, but if you only grab the one thread, it won't exactly be a slip knot, just a knot. So grab both your threads, and then you tighten your knot. Alright, so I've gone through and redid my knot. So now let me zoom in to show you what we're going to do. So we're going to pinch this bottom part of our knot, and we're going to start making a chain. So to make a chain, you're going to wrap the yarn around your hook, and you're going to pull it through the loop that you had on your hook already. So we've got 1 chain. Let's make a second chain. So you wrap your yarn around your hook and pull through the loop. That's 2. So do it again, wrap around, pull through your loop. That's 3, and so forth and so on. The chain needs to be in the length that you want the circumference of your beanie to be. So I'm going to make this for an adult, so I want my chain to be 22 inches at least. So anywhere between 21 to like 24 inches would be a good adult size beanie. So I'm going to keep chaining this. It doesn't have to be in odd or even numbers. Just make the chain as long as you need it. So I'm just going to measure it out to make sure it is my 22 inches that I want. So yeah, I've got what I need. Now I'll just grab my yarn and my hook and zoom in a little so that everybody can see. Great, alright, now we can get started. So we're going to be working into each of these stitches of the chain. So if you're not familiar with what these stitches look like, so this is your chain, and every one of these little V's, that's going to be one of your stitches. So if you're holding your yarn and you can't see these V's, turn it around because you're probably looking at the back of it. It'll be a lot easier to work if you see the front part. So to start, we're going to just pinch this last stitch because that's the one we're going to be working into, and we're going to chain 2. So here we go. We've got 1 and 2. And now we're going to make a double crochet starting in the 3rd stitch from our hook. So that's 2 and that's 3. So to make a double crochet, we're going to yarn over. We're going to go to that 3rd stitch. So 1, 2, 3. Insert our hook into that 3rd stitch from our hook. And we're going to yarn over. So make sure you get both threads there. We're going to pull our hook right back out of the loop. We've got 3 loops on our hook. So we're going to yarn over and pull through 2 of those loops. So there's 1, and there's the second one, and we still have 2 loops on our hook, so we're going to yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. So let's do that again in the next stitch. So yarn over, go to the next stitch, insert your hook into the stitch, so yarn over, pull your hook right back out of that loop right there. So we've got 3 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So that's 1, and then there's the second loop. And we're going to yarn over and pull through 2 loops. I'll show you a couple more. So let's yarn over, and we're going to insert our hook into the next stitch, yarn over, we're going to go back out of that stitch. We've got 3 loops on our hook, so we yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So this is a double crochet. You're going to want to make a double crochet in every one of the stitches of your chain. So I'll keep stitching a couple more of these so that you can see, but make one in every stitch of the chain, and I will see you when I get to the end of the chain. Alright, so I've got my last couple stitches here of this row, so just finish double crocheting these, and I've got my last stitch right over here. So insert our hook into this one, and close out our double crochet, and this is just going to be our knot, so I'll get that nice and tightened here in a minute. So for our next row, we're going to be chaining 2. So we make our first chain, and then we make a second chain, and we're going to turn our work around. So now we're going to start working in between our posts. So let me get a little closer. So this first one doesn't count. We're going to go into the second post. So skip this first one, go into the second one. Let me grab my hook so I can show you. So this back here is the post. So let me push the post forward so you can see it. So this is essentially what we're going to be doing. We're just going to be working a front post and then a back post and then a front post. So your work's going to look like this, only with yarn instead of a hook. So you're going to have posts on either side of your work, which is going to give it a bit more of a closed off, like thick feel to your beanie. So this is the stitch. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer so I can show you. There we go. So this is the stitch. So this is what you would normally work into, but we're going to be working in posts. So don't worry about these stitches up here. You're going to worry about the post, which is down here. So if I pull this apart a little bit, you can see the posts, which are these not looking things a little bit lower that are right below the stitch. So those are the ones we're going to be working into. So let me just get my hook back in my yarn and we can get started. So the first one, we're just going to yarn over and we're going to make a front post double crochet. So for that, just pull on your work a little bit so you can see your post clearly, and you're going to come in through behind the post and push it forward. So see, I've got my post facing me on my hook, and now we're just going to yarn over, pull right back out of the stitch. So we've got our 3 loops like you do in a double crochet, and just finish it off like you would a double crochet. So yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, pull through 2. So that is a front post double crochet. For our next one, we're going to be working a back post double crochet. So we're going to push the post backward. So here's my post, and I'm going to come in through here through the sides, and we're going to push the post backwards. So you're going to yarn over, come in from behind the post. So come in from behind and push the post backwards. So you're going to come towards the front of the post, push it back. See, now our post is back here. And we're going to yarn over, pull our hook back out, and now just yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. And that's a back post double crochet. Now we need a front post double crochet. So we yarn over, we're going to go find our next post, and we're going to come in behind the post. So insert our hook behind the post like this and push it forward. And now we can yarn over, pull our hook back out, and finish our double crochet. So yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. So the next post right over here is going to be a back post double crochet. So we're going to yarn over, come in behind the post towards the front. See, if I turn it sideways, it might be easier for some folks to see. So we're going to come in front of the post, push it backward. So see, it's back here now. Yarn over, pull our hook back out, and we're going to yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. I'll show you a couple more, so if you feel comfortable working front and back post double crochets, you can skip a little bit. So let's go into our next post, and this is going to be a front post double crochet. So come in behind the post. See, I'll do a side view of it. So you're coming behind the post, and we're going to push it forward. So let me show you again here. And we've pushed the post forward, so it's in front. Now we yarn over, come back out through the hoop, or through the loop, and then yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. Let me grab a little more yarn, and we'll do a couple more. So yarn over, we're going to come in from behind the post towards the front so that we can push our post backward, because this is a back post double crochet. So let me show you again. I'm going to go towards the front and push the post backward. There we go. So now that it's back there, we're going to yarn over, come back out, and we're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So I'm going to have to redo this one here real quick, but there we go. And the next post is a front post double crochet. So we're going to come in, push the post forward, yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. And the next one's just a back post. So we're going to keep working one front post followed by a back post. So it's just alternating front post and back post double crochets until you get to the end of the row. So I'll keep working a couple more of these, and that way I can show you what it'll start to look like here once you have a couple more of these stitches. So let me get another one here. There we go. So your work will start to look like this. I know at this point it's starting to get kind of confusing with the double colors, so I will show you with just a solid color here in just a moment so that you can see a little bit better. But for those who can see it, you've got alternating posts. So you've got the post, if you look below, you've got every other post is a back post and every other post on the top is a front post. So that's the look that you want to start creating. So I'll keep crocheting a bit more, then I'll show you how to start the next row, and I'll start working with a solid color so you can see a little more easily. So I'm at my last post here, so I'll just work this last post and show you what we're going to be doing here, because we have this space that's right between this last post and our chain. So I'll just insert my hook here because we're going to be making a double crochet. So in that little space right there, yarn over, insert your hook, and make a double crochet. If you don't remember what a double crochet looks like, go back to the first row that we made in the video, and those are the double crochets. So they're the ones that we worked without the post. So we're going to move on to our next row. And to do that, we're going to chain 2 and turn our work around. There we go. So we're going to yarn over, and this first post is a back post, as you can see, because it's facing towards the back. So we need to pull that forward. So you insert your hook behind the post and pull it forward. And now we've got our 3 loops, and you're going to close it like you do a double crochet. It's just a little confusing, don't worry. I'll show you here how to do it in a solid color in just a moment. So our next post is a double crochet, is a front post, so we need to push it towards the back. And we're going to make a back post double crochet now. And this is going to create that alternating post look. So yarn over, the next stitch is a back post, so we're going to make it a front post. So we're going to pull it forward and make our double crochet. The next post is a front post, so we need to make it a back post double crochet. And now we need to close our double crochet. Okay, so this is the look that we're going to be creating. So now let me grab a solid color and then I'll show you. So I've already made my first 2 rows. So I have my row of double crochet and my first row of front post and back post double crochets. So for the row that I just worked on, we're going to chain the 2 and see how you've got front post and back post visible. So this first one, as you can see, is a back post because the little bump is raised towards the back. So you're going to yarn over and come in behind the post and pull it forward. So you're going to turn it into a front post double crochet. This next post is a front post, so now we want to make it a back post. So now we're going to push the post backward. And we've turned it into a back post double crochet. The next one is a back post. Let's see, you can see it right here. So we're going to come in from behind the post, pull it forward, turn it into a front post double crochet. So what you're doing is you're reversing the posts. So this one that is now a front post, we're going to turn it into a back post. So come in from towards the front of the post, push it backward, and make it a back post double crochet. And I'll keep working the rest of the row here so you can see. This one's a back post, so we're going to pull it forward and make it a front post double crochet. And we're going to close our double crochet. The next one's a front post, so we're going to push it back and turn it into a back post double crochet. And the next one's a back post, so we turn it into a front post. And we close off our double crochet. Here we go. And this one right here is a front post, so we're going to push it back to make it a back post double crochet. There we go. And then we've got this last post of the row, which usually gets kind of hidden. Sorry, that's a back post. There it is. So I need to make this a front post double crochet. So there we go. I almost did it again. So it's a front post. So now we pull it forward, close off our double crochet. And then our super important last stitch of the row that we cannot forget is this little space between that post and that last chain. We need to make a double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook, and we've got our 3 loops now. So now we can yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. Don't forget this last post because it will ruin the look of your beanie and it'll start to make it a more triangular shape. And we kind of need it to be a nice square so that the beanies will fit. Alright, so for our next row, we're going to chain 2, and I'm going to keep working in this color for a little bit. So we're going to do the same thing we did this previous row. So I'm just going to work with you again. We're going to yarn over, and this front post is a back post. So we're going to pull it forward, turn it into a front post double crochet. So now yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Alright, so let's go to the next post. So we yarn over, it is a front post, so we're going to push it back and make it a back post double crochet. And now we're going to close our stitch. Alright, this next one is a back post double crochet. So we're going to yarn over, come in and push the post forward and turn it into a front post double crochet. And we'll close our stitch. The next one is a front post, so we're going to turn it into a back post double crochet. And we close the stitch. Alright, let's see, yarn over, go into the next stitch, and it's a back post, so we're going to pull it forward and make a front post double crochet. And the next one is a front post, so we're yarning over, and we're going to push the post back and turn it into a back post double crochet. And then I'll keep working the last few stitches of this row. But yeah, just to go over this again, you're just going to be making you're going to be alternating all of your posts. So all of your front post double crochets, you're going to turn into back post double crochets. And it's going to create kind of a woven look. So that'll make your beanie really warm. And it'll make it really stretchy as well. But it'll make it nice and warm, and you won't have a lot of gaps in between the stitches. So let me just finish off these last ones. So I've got that little hidden post. Then I need to turn into a front post. There we go. And I'll yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and the very last stitch of the row, which is the one between the post and the chain, where we're just going to make a double crochet. See, and if you skip it, because I skipped it here, and you can tell it's no longer a straight line. See, it's missing a stitch at the end. If you do that for a couple of rows, it's going to completely throw off the shape of your hat. So don't ever forget that stitch. It's really important. It's the very last double crochet of the row. So yarn over, insert your hook into the space between the post and the chain, and close out your double crochet. So after you make a couple of rows, you'll start to see the pattern, and it's this nice woven look. So I'll keep making several more rows of this same pattern, and I'll just keep working this next row in case anybody needs to see what I'm doing, and I'll just explain to you what we're going to be working on. So for this next row, you're going to work it the same way. So every row you're going to start the same. You're going to chain 2, and you're going to pull the first post. Should be a back post. If it's not, don't stress it. Check your work, make sure you didn't skip any stitches, but it should always be a back post, so you're going to turn it into a front post double crochet. The next one's going to be a front post, so you'll turn that into a back post, and so forth and so on. So every other post will be a front post double crochet, and then the ones in between there will be back post double crochets. You're going to keep working the same row over and over again until you get the height that you want for your beanie. So for an adult beanie, I normally go, if I want it to just be a tight fitting beanie, I'll make about 7.5, like 7 to 7.5 inches worth of this pattern that we're currently working on. If you want a slouchy beanie, then you can go up to about 9.5 inches, and it'll make a really tall body for the beanie, and then plus the 2-inch, anywhere between 1 inch to 2 inches for a brim, it'll make a really nice tall beanie that's perfect for a slouchy beanie. So just decide how high you want your beanie to go and keep working this pattern until you reach that height. So the number of rows really just depends on how tight you crochet, like how tight your tension is and what type of yarn you use. Because if I were to make this beanie in a size 4 medium yarn, it would require a lot less rows than it is with this finer yarn. So make sure that you measure your work, and that way it'll make it easier for you to just use any kind of yarn that you want to make the same pattern. So I'm going to show you how to switch colors, because in this beanie that I'm using for the sample, I'm switching colors, and then in the one in the picture, which is the gray one that we're working on, I'll be switching colors as well. So I'm only going to show you how to switch colors on this row, and then it's going to be the exact same in any row that you want to switch colors in. So I'm just going to grab a different colored yarn. So I've got this lavender yarn. I'm going to grab 2 skeins of it, because we need to make the same thickness. So I've got 2 threads, and we're just going to leave a nice long tail at the end, wrap it around our hook, and then just pull it through that loop that we had, like when you make a chain, only you're introducing a new color. So for the first chain, I'm going to use all my threads. So it's got 4 threads on there, and I've got all 4 threads on it. And for the second chain, I'm going to yarn over with just the 2 threads that I'm going to be working with. And those are the first 2 chains of the row. So remember how every row we started with chain 2, turn your work around? We've just made our 2 chains. So now we're going to continue making our work the same way that we had for all our other rows. So you yarn over, you go into the first post and pull it forward to make it a front post. And now we just yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. And we have switched colors. So now for our next post, it's a front post, so we're going to yarn over, come in from behind, and push the post backward. So now we have a back post double crochet, and then the next post is a back post double crochet, so we're going to turn it into a front post double crochet. The next post is a front post, so we've got to push it back and turn it into a back post double crochet. And we'll just keep working this same pattern until we get to the end of the row. So something to remember if you're changing colors, leave a nice long tail. That way you can weave it in and you won't risk your work becoming unraveled. So leave a nice long tail at the beginning, and it's just easier to weave it in than it is to try to knot everything up, and then it can come undone once your work is already completed. It happened to me once with a blanket, and it unwove like halfway through, so the whole middle part of the blanket was ruined. So don't let that happen to you. Leave a nice long tail and just weave it in at the end. So I'll do my last stitch here, which is that double crochet at the end of the row. So yarn over, there we go, and we're going to close out our row with a double crochet. So this is what it looks like when you switch colors. Creates a really cool interlocking type pattern. It's nice. But you can do that as many times and with as many colors as you want. So here you can see I used 3 different colors, and then I went back to black, and that just made the different colored stripes. So assuming that you've already made 7 inches, at like 7 to 9 inches of this pattern, and you're ready to work on your brim, we're going to start working on it. So we're going to chain 2, and this is for the brim, turn your work around, and we're going to be extending the posts. So before we were switching them, so we were turning back posts into front posts and so forth and so on to create this woven look. Now we're going to extend the post. So this first one that is a back post double crochet, you're going to make another back post double crochet. So I'll make a back post double crochet here, go into my next stitch, which is a front post double crochet, so I'm going to make another front post double crochet. So we're going to just push this post forward again, and that way we'll have 2 rows of front post double crochets, and it's going to create a ribbed look. So the next stitch is a back post, so I'm going to make another back post double crochet. And the one next to it is a front post, so we'll make a front post double crochet here. The next one is a back post, so we'll make a back post double crochet. This next one is a front post, so I'll push it forward again and make another front post. The next one's a back post double crochet, so we'll make another back post double crochet. And then we've got a front post, so we'll make a front post. The next one is a back post. And we just have our double crochet at the end of the row. So that's our first row for the brim. So as you can see, it has extended the look of the posts. So instead of it being woven like it was at the bottom, now we've just got an extension of the post. So we're going to chain 2, turn our work around, and we're going to do the same thing we just did this previous row. So now this first one is a front post. So now we're going to yarn over, and we're going to make another front post double crochet in that front post double crochet of the previous row. The next one is a back post double crochet, so we're going to make a back post double crochet. The next one is a front post, so we'll make another front post double crochet. And then we've got a back post. The next one's a front post. And we've got a back post. And front post. And another back post. and a front post double crochet, and now we're at the end of the row. So this is the same row that you're going to repeat over and over until you get the length that you want for your brim. So I normally make anywhere between about 1.5 to 2 inches as far as the brim goes, because I like a little bit of a wider brim, but that's entirely up to you. I don't give you a specific number of rows to work because it really depends on, again, on your tension and the size yarn that you use. So if I tell you to make like 5 rows of this brim stitch, if you're using a size 4 yarn, you're going to end up with a huge brim versus, the smaller brim that you would make if you're using 2 size 1 fingering yarns together. So I think I've showed you enough how to work the brim with this colored yarn. So let me just fast forward a little bit, show you the body of the beanie that I've already got made, and I'll show you how to make the brim on the actual beanie itself. So let me just skip ahead here. So I'll just measure it so you can see. We made just a few rows and we already have an inch worth of brim. So it doesn't take you very long to make a nice thick brim. So now if I have the body of my beanie, which I'd already worked on, and I made this 8 inches, so it's a nice and tall beanie, and I made a couple of stripes, so I wanted some stripes at the bottom. So I'm just going to switch colors because I want the brim to be this more caramel color. So I'll get everything ready here. So I've cut a nice long piece of yarn for a tail, that way I can weave it in. And we're going to do the same with this darker yarn, and I'm just going to loop it and pull it through the loop that we have on our hook. We're going to need to chain 2, so my first chain is going to include all 4 threads of yarn, and for my second chain it's just going to be the 2 threads of yarn that I'm going to be working. So I'll get everything tightened. We're going to turn our work around, and just like we did in the example that I showed you in the lighter color yarn, we're going to be working with starting with a row of double crochets that extend the posts that we already have. So this first stitch is going to be a back post double crochet, just like it was in the sample. So let me zoom in so you can see it a little better. So here's our back post, and then there's our front post, back post, and we're going to do the same. We're just going to be extending this post. So our first stitch is going to be a back post double crochet. So we're going to push that back post further still, and we're just going to make it another back post double crochet. This next post right over here is a front post double crochet, so we're going to make another front post double crochet. The one right next to it is a back post, so we'll make a back post double crochet. And then we have a front post double crochet right here, so we'll make another front post double crochet. And here we go with a back post. So we'll make another back post double crochet. And I'll show you just a couple more stitches and then we'll go ahead and move on. So here's this next one, and that's a front post. So we'll make a front post double crochet. And there we go. See, it's starting to look like the makings of a brim. So we'll go to the next stitch, and that's a back post. So we'll work a back post double crochet, and then a front post double crochet, and we'll just keep working the same all throughout this first row. So I'll see you when we get to the end of the row. Alright, so I finished my row and I have my last double crochet that I still need to make. So I'll make my double crochet between the post and that last chain of the row. So there we go. Our first row of brim is finished. To move on to the next one, we're going to chain 2 and we're going to turn our work around. And just like we did this previous row, we're going to do the same in this next row. So we're just going to extend the posts that we already have. So this front one is a front post, this first one, sorry, is a front post double crochet. So we're going to make another front post double crochet. So there we go, yarn over and make a front post double crochet in the front post double crochet of the previous row. The next one is a back post. So we're going to make another back post double crochet. And then the one right next to it is a front post, so we'll make another front post double crochet. And we move on to a back post double crochet in the next stitch. And then we have a front post, so we'll make a front post double crochet. And a back post, so we'll make a back post double crochet. And then we have a front post and a back post, and so forth and so on for the rest of the row. Just remember that at the end of every row, don't forget that last double crochet. Keep working this same pattern until you make the brim as wide as you want it. I'll probably end up close to about 2 inches because this hat's already pretty tall already, and I don't need it to be a slouchy beanie. So I'll probably just make a little over an inch. So I'll measure it just to kind of see where we're at right now. So it's just a couple of rows, and I'm already at 3/4 of an inch. So we'll probably just have to double it up so that I can make almost 2 inches worth of a brim. So I'll just keep working a few more rows of this, and we'll start working on how to sew our beanie together in just a few rows. So there we go. I've made the brim as wide as I want it. So I'm just going to leave a nice long tail of yarn, and we're just going to pull our hook out and pull the yarn with it. So it's going to leave a nice long little tail. I'll just measure the beanie real quick so that you can see how tall it is now that I've finished with the brim. So it is about 10 inches, and that's as tall as I want my hat, so that's good. So I'm going to show you how to weave in your ends, because you're going to need to weave in your ends before you can sew your beanie together. So weave in all of your ends and then you can sew it together. So to do that, just grab a yarn needle or a tapestry needle, whatever needle works for the yarn that you have. I'm using a tapestry needle, but any needle will work just fine. So we're just going to get that all threaded, and we're going to weave in our ends. So just insert your needle into any stitch that's nearby and make a quick knot. You can double knot it if it makes you feel more comfortable. And now we start weaving in ends. So if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I work in a bit of a square shape. So I kind of just sew in a bit of a square. So I'll go 4 different directions, and that way it'll keep my yarn from becoming unraveled. So I'll just go down in one direction and then just sew it down, and then go across in the other direction, and then I'll pick another direction. So I didn't leave a really long tail, so I'm just going to go down and just start hiding the end of my yarn. So I'll just go in a straight line and go straight down as far as I can go and just kind of hide this tail. And I've got a little bit left, so I'll go in the other direction. If it's not long enough for you to just turn your needle around and go straight into the next stitch, you can just insert your needle and just leave the end so that you can thread your yarn through it. So I'll just go through and rethread it. There we go. And that way I can just finish sewing it and hide the tail ends. So I'll just give it a quick pull. That hides the ends of my yarn, and that's it. Do that with every one of these little edges, the little threads that you've left, until you get everything threaded through. So now to sew it, I'm going to use the same yarn that I was working with to make the beanie. I'm just going to leave a really nice long piece, and I want to use the blue one. So I'll cut a nice long thread of it, and I'm going to be using my tapestry needle again. You can crochet it closed if you want to. Just make a single crochet all the way down the side of the hat, and you're still going to have to sew the top part though to sew it closed and make it a nice tight top for your beanie. But if you just want to sew it together, this is just kind of how I do it. So I've doubled up my thread and then just made a knot at the end. That way I have a thread on either side of the needle and it's nice and thick. So I'm going to pick what side I want to be on the outside. So I think I like this side better. So the side that you like for your beanie, the one that you want to be on the outside, fold it into itself. So see, I kind of folded it the long ways, and I want the inside, I want to fold it inside out so that I'm sewing on the out or on the inside of the beanie and it's hidden. So it's inside out, and now I can just insert my needle. I don't typically insert it, I don't start sewing at the very end so that I can hide the tail end. So I go, I don't know, about a stitch or two more towards the inside of the brim so that I can hide it. So that I've got my initial knot all nice and set up. I'm just going to give it a couple of stitches, and you can sew it however you want. You can sew it with a machine if you prefer. You can sew it by hand, whatever way you want to sew it. Pick a stitch and just stick with it throughout the entire sewing process here. So I'll just give it a couple quick stitches, and I'll double up the stitch here at the end because this is the brim and I don't want it to rip apart if somebody puts the beanie on. So there we go, and now I can start working towards the back. So I'll just sew the sides of my beanie together like so. And as you can see, it doesn't have to be any kind of fancy sewing. As long as you keep your stitches nice and even and pretty close together, you're going to be just fine. So I'll keep sewing this together. Make sure that you line up, if you made any stripes, make sure you line up all your stripes so that they're nice and even. And I will see you when we're done sewing. So I'm at the end of the beanie. I haven't sewed through to the tops, just the side. And at the top of it, you're going to need to make a knot. So I'm going to make a double knot. And that's because I'm using this same thread. If you're going to be using a new piece of thread, then just knot it and finish up your work here and then get a new piece of thread. I'm going to be using the same one. And if I don't knot it, it's when I pull the top part of the beanie to tighten it, it's going to pull on the side of my beanie and it's just going to scrunch everything up and it's not going to look nice. So now that I've made my knot, there we go, we can start sewing the top part of the beanie closed. So to do that, just leave your beanie open because you don't want to sew both sides together yet, and then just sew in and out around the entire top part of the beanie. So I'll show you here with a couple of stitches what I mean. So just in and out. And as you work your way around, you can start pulling on the thread a little to start tightening it. Because as you can see, I don't have a whole lot of thread left, so I have just enough to work the top part of the beanie. So I'm going to have to pull it tight and pull it closed so that I have enough thread on my needle to make it all the way around the top part of the beanie. So I'll give it a couple more stitches and show you what it looks like here as we close it, and then I'll just fast forward through this in case anyone wants to see how to continue sewing it. And if not, well, at least I fast forwarded so it doesn't take up too much time. So here we go. So see, as you tighten it, it's going to start to close the top part of your beanie. So just keep working your way around, and I'll see you here when we finish. Alright, so I fast forwarded through that bit, and now we've made it all the way around the beanie, and I'm going to tighten it. So just pull on your thread, and this is where it helps to have a double thread versus just a single, because then you can tighten it a bit more. So we'll make this nice and tight, and I'll just sew across the top a few times. So I just kind of go in a bit of a circular shape just so that I make sure that I've got all around the top part of the beanie and that I don't leave any part open. So I'll just give it a couple of stitches across the top part, and it also helps to tighten the top part of the beanie, which you may not have been able to do necessarily by just pulling on that thread. So I'll give it a few more stitches. and make that nice and tight. And then we're just going to knot this up and we'll be done. If you're going to be adding a pom-pom, I'll add the links to 2 different types of pom-poms you can make for this beanie. I'm not going to be adding a pom-pom, but if you want to see how to make one, I'll link those 2 videos, and you can do that here in just a moment. So once you get this all knotted up, flip your beanie right side out, because currently we have it inside out. So flip it right side out and then put your pom-pom on top. So I'll get the last bit here done and get all my threads cut up and everything. And then the last thread, when I cut it, I'm just going to go ahead and weave that in too, so that it doesn't pop out. There we go. And I'll get this cut, and we will be done. So there we go, I've cut that. And we just flip our beanie inside out, or I guess right side out. Don't forget to weave in those last ends that you've got of the thread here by the brim. And that's it. Attach your pom-pom if you want to, and if not, you're ready to go. Hope you enjoyed this video tutorial. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them down below. If you want to see any of my other crochet work, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm at mode.bespoke. For the free written patterns to this and many other types of beanies and projects, you can visit my blog. The link is in the description box below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, and thanks for watching.